There you go.
Can you hear us now?
You
guys hear us?
That was a personal problem there. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was at that point.
Yikes!
Yeesh! What a morning.
Yep, I can hear us now. I can hear it.
So
was
guys,
a disaster.
Oh my God. Guys, just so you know, we've been trying to use Restream going live, and apparently they are down.
Yeah.
We were kicked out for 20 minutes before we even started this podcast. So
yeah.
What a disaster. It is what it is. I'm sorry, guys. I guess that's the dangers of doing it live. It is live, guys. This is live.
Yeah.
Doing it live.
Yeah.
We're doing it live. All righty, guys. As you know, we are the Bolt Bros. I'm Andrew, joined by my two brothers, Kyle and James. What it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, where's yours?
Where's
yours, brother?
Oh yeah, actually, where is mine? I got mine right here.
It is.
Okay, guys. Hey,
Look at that.
and this is our preseason warm up here. We're going to talk about the Rams and Chargers.
Yeah.
So we want to do this a little different this time. We want to basically go into what we prepared for about 30 minutes, but throw your questions down below.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into it after that. So we're going to go through 30 minutes of just our prepared, materials, and then we're going to hop into your questions at the last 30 minutes. Okay, guys? So Be patient with us. I apologize for the technical difficulties. But we here, guys. We here.
We here.
We made it.
Let's go. We got this.
Let's go.
Woo!
Let's
Intro
go.
time. Yeah.
All right.
So the intro is going now. Okay, cool.
Done. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. All right.
Good.
And then we'll just start with the offense. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So we are here. I think we should start with the offense, guys.
I think so too. Yeah.
So again, we're literally gonna do 30 minutes. Throw your questions down below. You got any thoughts you want us to shoot out? Whatever, let it go. Let them rip, and then we'll get to them in the last 30 minutes. So we're gonna try and plan on this being about an hour. Now, just so you guys know, the plan is moving forward. The preseason game, James and I are going to do a halftime show. We're just gonna try and go live. Hopefully. Restream works for us at that time.
Yeah, shoot.
And then we're just going to talk a little bit about what we see, how the first half goes, what we want to see the second half, yada yada, and then we're going to do a game wrap up after the game is completed. Now, where that's going to be a little odd logistically is Kyle's going to be there in SoFi Stadium, so he'll probably try and join if he can. If he can't, then we won't worry about it too much.
Yeah.
Obviously, no technology. It can be a little bit of a pain in the ass for us, and today's a great example of that.
To say the least, yeah.
Just say the least.
Yeah.
Man, it was getting all stressful back here.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. It was
Anyways.
super annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like, what the hell's going on? It kept kicking us out. What a mess. All right.
Yeah, it was
So,
frustrating.
guys, let's talk about the offense first. What do you guys think? So I guess we could start with a few things. I mean, what should we expect? I mean, actually, James, why don't we start with you?
Yeah.
Who are you most excited to see offensively on the preseason game this week?
First off, it's just exciting to have football back.
Yes.
The best thing about it is like, obviously being in training camp was awesome. Seeing the team live there, seeing them kind of dink and dunk and do their thing. But, starting this podcast this year, we really got there's a lot more excitement to watch preseason.
Big
Generally,
time.
I don't
Yeah.
really
Big time.
care about
100%.
preseason a lot of the times. But it's exciting to be able to have football back because we're really looking at all the players all the way to the end.
Yep.
And we're really looking at everybody, and it's exciting to be able to see this happen. So first off, if I'm going to say anything, I'm just excited to see football back on the field.
Me
all that
too.
matters to me.
Yeah.
100%.
That's the exciting part. As in this team, the thing is, though, we're still kind of at that point. And I don't think there's been any updates saying who's not going to play. I'm pretty positive Justin Herbert's not going to play or anything like that.
Yeah.
So he's probably out. So we're still waiting to see kind of who's going to play, who's not going to play. My assumption is probably the key players are not going to play. So you got to think of the guys like Austin Eckler. You got to think of most of our offensive line. I'm sure wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Williams. I would assume Guyton, and I would assume Palmer would probably be out there. But I guess for me, and I'm thinking of wide receiver side of things, I'm going to start with DeAndre Carter, and I'm excited to see him out there.
Yeah.
Because with camp, he's been having a really, really solid camp.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it, too, with DeAndre Carter is that he gave a big shout out, and he's been working out with Keenan Allen for some years.
Big time.
And
Big time.
he really watches his route running, and he's grows from it. I mean, I'm excited to see him play, and I'm excited to see Bandy and Guyton, see if Guyton has got any growth with his route running and everything. But bottom line, just to go back to DeAndre Carter and how him giving a shout out to Keenan Allen, that's why we got guys like that on this team. That's why you need those big guys. Yep. That's why that makes everybody better. And so you can learn off of them and be with them every single day and learn from them. So if very long-winded answer here, but it's more excitement than anything.
Yeah.
But my guy, I want to see DeAndre Carter on field and see what he does with the 2s and the 3s. So that'll be an exciting guy to take a look at. So what's your guys' thoughts?
So for me, I'm really excited to see what's his name? Trey Pipkins out there.
Pip.
Yeah, Pip. Yeah.
Big Pip.
The big Pip. You know, Pipkins.
Pip ain't easy.
Pipkins ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like obviously, like, you know, we've talked a lot about
Pipkins ain't easy.
We've talked a lot about the right tackle battle a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be a big game because obviously we saw the depth chart.
It is.
And it showed, you know, Storm Norton and Trey Pipkins is an or right now as far as the rotation goes. So I'm actually really excited to see both of them, like him, perform here because he may actually get the lead role. Because honestly, I don't really think that the coach doesn't need many games to know who he wants to have play. And so and I think it's really after this game, it's kind of going to be like, all right, well, I kind of already know where I want to put people and where we're going to have them. Because and I think this is going to be a big game for Trey Pipkins for sure. So
Pipkins ain't easy.
That's right.
Pipkins ain't easy.
I will recap what Brandon Staley said when he was asked. I think it was 2 days ago. He said, "Okay, who's going to be playing this week?" Basically, he said, "We're going to play who needs to play. That's it." And that's the conversation. It's not a conversation. You're not going to see Justin Herbert. You're not going to see Khalil Mack. You're not going to see Joey Bosa. Obviously, we're not going to see Derwin James. He's still on his holdout. But I think people that he, as our, needs are being filled, he's going to play people that are going to be needs. One that I was thinking about, just oddly, and it doesn't really pertain to the offense, but it's Michael Davis might be playing gunner on special teams. We're going to talk about that a little later on too.
Oh, interesting.
But my point is they're going to be using a lot of these players interoperably just to make sure that they're going to be, able to go. And I really want to know from a depth perspective, right? Because we have a lot of running backs. So the one I'm looking forward to is the running back positions. And I know ERB asked a great question about that already. We'll go into a little deeper and wider. But I think they're going to get probably fairly equal carries, right? And it looks like, from what I can tell, Daniels will run the first half, and then Stick will run the second half. Is what would be the quarterback play from what I've heard. Fairly similar to last year, but I think they're going to spread the ball. They're going to keep the defense and offense very vanilla. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. They're not going to be doing any trick plays. Very basic stuff. But I'm excited to see the running back battle because I really do think it. Guys, I'm excited, right? Kelly looks good.
Yes.
Roundtree looks good.
It really does.
Horvath started looking pretty good last week. I started seeing his name, thrown around quite a bit as well too. So, but I'm also excited to see them on special teams because I think that's where they're going to win and lose a spot for this team specifically because of the depth that we have. So, that's the battle I'm kind of looking forward to seeing.
And go back on the right tackle battle, which I think everybody's going to look at. Obviously Trey Pipkins, Storm Norton are kind of those two guys.
Wow. Hey, Satan, where'd that come from? Oh, my God.
Yeah, what?
We got a Satan emoji down here?
What happened there?
I'm just using the like the voice, the voice side of my thing, for the industry,
Yeah. So you got Pipkins, you got Norton. In the depth chart, it even said Pipkins or Norton. So it's going to be that battle between those two. But earlier in the week in training camp, Jamari Salyer did get some snaps at right tackle too.
Oh, yeah.
So once again, that is something that we have to look at. And I think in the chat, there was somebody chatting about it. I think it might have been Herb chatting about it, asking about if Sawyer is going to be there. And to be honest, I'm expecting to see him on the right tackle.
Yeah.
I think they'll
the
rotate.
thing is, so
they'll rotate. They'll rotate.
This team really wants not a one-trick pony player. They want people that can move around when they need them and wherever they go.
1000%.
Sawyer is going to be a left guard for us behind Filer, but he's also has a chance to be a right tackle for us too. So in college he was a left tackle. He did play, I believe, in the right tackle too for Georgia too. He didn't do too bad. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see, that rotational battle there going there too, and seeing how they do, you know. So I think that's going to be an exciting point to keep an eye out for too for this game.
You know, it's interesting. I have a friend of mine who went to UCLA, and she was chatting with me about, oh, Joshua, you know, how's Kelly doing there? And I was like, man, he kind of struggles, you know. But I was talking about him last year, right? I mean, it's probably about a month ago. And I've seen a lot of really cool interviews. Guys, I'm excited that we have such good depth at the running back position.
Me too.
And I'm a little nervous because, like, at this point, I also think they have a very good cohesive attitude, right? Josh Kelly specifically was like, hey, it's competition. It's all love. You know, we're all trying to make ourselves better. And if somebody's better than me, then they should start over me, right? And that's totally fine. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself. Roundtree said almost exactly the same thing. I find that really interesting because it's so easy to get egos and be like, oh, hey, I'm the starting running back, and you got Austin Eckler. But Austin Eckler is such a good guy, such a good team locker room guy. He just wants somebody to take some of the load from him so he doesn't, you know, he can have a long-term career, right? I mean, guys, it's a violent sport out there, and we need a guy to step up and take some carries away from Eckler. So that'll be interesting for me to see.
Well, and even the other side of it too is Xander Horvath, like, and to see how he fits in this whole situation too.
It's a big dude, man.
Gabe Neighbors and Xander are going to be two dudes that are going to be really battling it out. I mean, I don't think any team has ever had two fullbacks, but then again, are they going to adjust and put Xander as a running back fullback or something? Can you even do that? I don't know. But like, it'll be interesting to see where he gets involved in this whole thing too.
So I would say short yardage plays. I could see him being the muscle guy, just punching it in. They will probably try and use him for that role. I think that's a very smart move for him because, again, he was a converted linebacker. He's a big dude. He's like, what, 240? He's 250, 260, something like that. A big dude, man. So, I mean, he can run with a little authority. You know, my authority.
It was interesting how you brought up about Joshua Kelly and how he's looking in camp so far. I mean, he does seem like a different guy. And I was reading up a little bit about how he changed kind of his diet. He changed his workout regimen and everything too. I remember when he got drafted, one thing he talked a lot about was, oh man, I just love sugary cereals. And like, that's his big old thing and everything like that.
Right.
And maybe he changed that up. Maybe changed that diet a bit. What was interesting is after one of the camps for the Chargers, and I've always thought athletes are going to be like, hey, man, season's here. I'm going to eat chicken breasts and vegetables for 6 months or whatever to stay in shape or whatever it is. Like, I'm just not going to eat sugars. I'm not going to do any of that. Outside of that, I'll say Eric Weddle would eat a gallon of ice cream after every win. So I guess I can't necessarily say they stick to their diet, but that was more of a treat for him. But with Joshua Kelly, like being on a diet, possibly, I think he's probably doing a little bit more on that.
Sure.
But after one of the training camps, I think it was Sebastian Joseph Day, he had a chopped cheese truck show up there. And so they were feeding everybody chopped cheeses, which is basically just kind of like it's a New York style, like sloppy Joe, if you want to say.
Oh.
And so I was thinking, whoa, they're going to be eating those. Like, I thought everybody was on, you know, strict diets and whatnot, but homeboy's eating some chopped cheeses over here. So anyways, the thing is, though, diet makes a huge difference. And so
it does.
For his workout regimen and everything like that, and maybe that's the big change for Joshua Kelly. Maybe he was just pounding Captain Crunch every single night, you know, and obviously that's not very healthy, but
still
that's
eating,
a little bit off topic, but
still eating like a college student, you know, like just like yeah.
But that's good, right? And a big part of that too is it's helping them become more a cohesive unit as well too, right? I mean, the thing that I've learned too, and I keep watching all these videos, you could tell these guys like being around each other. That is huge. That is huge, and that goes a long way. So okay, I think that's pretty good. Maybe we should move to defense, and then we can wrap up special teams, and then we'll go to some of these questions.
I do think it wouldn't be bad to just chat about quarterback, and the reason why is because
might as well, yeah.
And the reason why I'm thinking about quarterback is Chase Daniels, to me, feels like he's been throwing ducks in camp.
Big time.
Yes. He doesn't look like he has a whole heck of a lot of velocity on his arm anymore.
Yeah.
Easton Stick, to me, I feel like he's been outplaying Chase Daniels. Yes. I understand the importance of Chase Daniels. He's very, very much a good coach, per se. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of field time by any means, other than through camp and a couple games in his resume. But Easton, I've always felt like he's got the juice. He's got something there. He's got something extra.
Yes.
And so even in the depth chart, it actually put Easton Stick or Chase Daniels, Easton Stick, I think might have been the way it was.
Yeah.
So there is like a tie for two. And so that means, to me, they're only going to carry two of these quarterbacks. Like, hypothetically, let's say Chargers say, hey, man, Chase, we're not going to keep you. But guess what? We want you to be our quarterback coach or a quarterback assistant coach to be able to keep working with Herbert, kind of thing. So I don't know. That's something that I just thought about. Possibly could happen. I don't know. But that's something I'm really going to look at. What is Chase Daniels' arm going to be like during game? Is he going to take it up a level, or is it going to be kind of what we've been seeing in camp, kind of thing? So
yeah, he's got the juice.
One to look at.
He's got the juice for sure, right? And I've always liked him as a player, but he hasn't been given an opportunity to really do anything, right? I mean, this is pretty much his season. He plays a couple games here and there, right? So, and that's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. So, And I'm curious to see. I haven't seen anybody talk about Brandon Peters playing, right? Brandon Peters is our other guy from Illinois. That could play. I would assume he would, but I kind of get the impression he might not, just because I think they want to your point, James, I think they want to evaluate whether or not Chase is number 2 or number 3, and then kind of decide, who that is. And I think maybe the next game we'll see a lot of Brandon Peters. And again, guys, to back up, this is undrafted free agents and players that are probably not going to be starters, an opportunity to show that they got some juice and moxie, and other teams can pick them up. This is their interview at this point. They've gone through camp. They know our system. And now they have to decide, okay, I'm going to go out there and perform and show my best and go from there. Now, I will say this, and I wanted to bring this up before, and I completely forgot this. I don't know if you've seen, there's already been some injuries. Zach Wilson got hurt. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. And by the way, I have watched so many preseason games. I just keep going back and forth, and I'm watching. But I will say this, some of these teams are playing starters, and I'm like, man, your first preseason game. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Terrible choice. Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor looked pretty good in New York. I thought he looked pretty good. Malik Willis looked really good. It was really interesting to see all that, so, but I don't understand the point of playing anybody.
For the Ravens looked really good.
Huntley looked really good. Yep. He looked really good. So, it's interesting seeing how that is. I really think, though, we're not going to see a lot of our starters. This is going to be mostly, running back battle, right tackle battle. They might rotate, DeAndre Carter in a little bit. I mean, I think they might go kind of light with him. They might use Bandy and some of these other guys that we got just to see what they can do. So I wouldn't expect a ton of offense, but, I'm kind of curious to see how the defense plays out as well, too. So,
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing. And it was also Drake London ended up having a knee injury, too, for the Falcons.
Yep.
So
big rookie pickup.
Yeah. Big, man. And I mean, I was pretty
USC.
That
guy's
big on that guy.
That guy's
He's
great.
Stud. He's a stud.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's a very interesting thing that players are out there. Like, I could understand with the Jaguars, like they got, new coach over there, new system. I could understand, give them some reps, kind of all that kind of stuff. But you're taking risks way too early in the season, man. And and this isn't even like, these games are essentially just practice on TV, like these don't mean a whole lot. It only means a lot for the players that are playing on the field. And I don't think that a starter, you don't put your starters on preseason game 1 with the potential to be able to get injured for your entire season. Your season's
100%.
done.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tip. Like, if we don't see Isaiah Spiller out there and Austin Eckler, that's our number 1, number 2.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Like, 100%. I think that's it. So just see who's not on the field, and that's probably start week 1,
Yep.
right? And again, the other 2 running backs we did not talk about is Letty Brown and Kevin Marks. I think we could see them as well too. They're both undrafted free agents. Again, Brandon Staley likes to see these guys, and they want to see what they can do. So, again, guys, just across the board on these games, if you're not seeing a starter out there, it's a good chance they're going to start week 1. And it'll give us a good idea. Like if we don't see Austin Eckler and Isaiah Spiller, then Isaiah Spiller is probably running back too. So just know that's going to be how it is. Okay. Moving forward, let's go to the defense, and then we'll go into some of these questions here. Sweet. So you did bring up Mike Davis, James, and I thought that was a really interesting interview about how he didn't have his mind in the right place last season. That's why he had such an off year. Again, Mike Davis, he had some problems at BYU. His senior year, he was actually benched, and it was really an interesting thing to see. But look, you cannot let your personal life get in front of your personal, career, right? And so it's interesting that he opened up on that and had that conversation. So I'm really curious to see what he does this year too. So anyhow, that was kind of where I wanted to start with on the cornerback. But I thought that was really interesting to be so vulnerable about some of your shortcomings as a person.
It's good to be able to see him talk about it. It's to be able to get past it. I think you got to speak about it and talk about it and know where your head was at. And I think with Michael Davis, it's an interesting situation with him because he seems like he's sitting at cornerback 4 now. With us, J.C. Jackson, you got Asante Samuel Jr., and then you also got what's his face, Callahan. Basically in the slot. So. It's kind of crazy to think about. We're paying a guy a good amount of money, $7 million, to basically be a cornerback 4, but utilize him wherever you can. I mean, like you were talking about too, putting him in the gunner and such like that too. Utilizing him in different ways. And so
they're also talking about putting him as a safety as well too. Put him back there with JT Woods or Nas Adderley, different packages, and then let Derwin kind of move around. So you're going to see some severe rotations of all of these players. I think every single one of these players on both sides of the ball that are not already a day 1 starter, they will be out there hitting fools and going down the road.
Absolutely. And the one thing that's interesting about Michael Davis too, and I don't know, this is a very hypothetical situation with him, but if the rumors of like Roquan Smith getting traded from the Bears and everything like that,
ridiculous. Yeah,
that's ridiculous to be able to see that. But I mean, the Bears are definitely imploding. The thing is, though, it's interesting about the coach over there that's there. He came from the Colts. I was pretty high on him, and I thought that he was going to be a pretty good dude. Matt Eberflus. And he had a really good defense over there at with the Colts and such. And I was thinking, man, this guy's going to be a stud. But man, whatever's happening over there, it is just a lot going on there. You're getting rid of Khalil Mack. You're looking at, possibly getting rid of Roquan Smith. I mean, there was chat about even one of their other defensive linemen who's really, really good too. And I don't know. There was this hypothetical thought, like, what if Michael Davis is really not, his head is not really in the game, and he's getting outplayed by, like, say, Dean Leonard, Tevon Campbell, or Jasir Taylor.
Jasir Taylor, like, exactly. 100%.
What's not to say? Like, what if we say, okay, hey, Bears, we'll package Michael Davis for you with a 5th round and a 4th round pick or something?
That just might be a straight up trade, dude.
I mean, who knows?
I could see that just be a straight up trade. Yeah.
And the thing about it is that takes off if they take the salary, which they took some of the salary from the Khalil Mack trade too.
For sure.
What if they push over $7 million over to him? Mm-hmm. And then that kind of opens up potentially to do something with Roquan Smith, which we have 2 contracts coming up with Herbert, and obviously Derwin seems to be the one in focus right now.
Yep.
I mean, is it going to be a 1-year situation for him? We don't anticipate that, but I'm sure with Smith, he probably thinks, hey, man, I want to be on a team that's going to win, bottom line. And so I think he's in a good situation if he came over here. I don't know. Just a weird thought. Yeah, I mean, you could even think about Kenneth Murray, too, as if we're not too high on him, too, as a trade chip. So just something to think about. But that's something I'm really going to be watching. How does Michael Davis do? Because if Dean Leonard outplays him, or Tevon Campbell, which we're all not very high on him.
Yeah, but his name is a lot of people are hyped on him. He's doing a lot better this year.
Yeah.
And so So again, we probably won't see a lot of Mike. Actually, I would say this: we'll probably see Michael Davis more as a safety and potentially for special teams and some of the gunner position type stuff. I think if they are thinking about moving him around, they'll be like, all right, let's make sure he doesn't stay out there and have the potential to get hurt. He'll just have a few plays here and there. How does he do as a gunner? How does he do as a safety potentially? But the thing is, Michael Davis is an athlete, right? But he's got to get his head right. That's 90% of this game, and I think it was either Roundtree or Kelly who started talking about that. 90% of this game is mental, and so I think Joshua Kelly also was very open about that too. But I'm excited to see Jasir Taylor. I'm going to see a lot of Jasir Taylor. I think we'll probably see a lot of Tavon Campbell. I think that's who we'll see a lot in the cornerbacks. But I guess safety wise, though, I think we're going to see a lot of JT Woods. Webb is out still, isn't he? He's still out, isn't he, at this point?
I'm not 100% sure.
I think he's back in now.
Is he? Yeah, because I remember
Twitter.
He probably will not play, in my opinion. I think Gilman and Woods will probably be the most likely to play, and some of the undrafted free agents that we have as well too. But interesting to see what happens safety wise moving forward for this game specifically. So,
and I would have loved to be able to see Webb out there, just because you're hearing a lot of the notes of him, fluctuating in a lot of positions, and he's definitely not being a one-trick pony. And I think Brandon Staley really likes Mark Webb a lot, and
he's high on him. He's high on him.
So I'm excited. I would love to see if he actually does get on the field. It would be interesting to see JT Woods, if he's really going to be that third-round talent kind of guy, because I feel like, and maybe me or maybe I missed some notes, but I feel like I haven't had a huge amount of positive stuff from JT Woods so far. So
they did talk about that.
He has not been a huge focus at all this offseason. Seems like or not, at least the camp. Yeah.
So
Joe Lombardi talked quite a bit about that. He said that the problem with him was that when he was at Baylor, he would go run track, and then he'd play football, and then he'd go run track, and then he played football. So he's just kind of a little all over the map. And when you come down to the NFL is a lot more difficult to run than college football, right? So in college football, he could just use his abilities to be successful. Now he's got to focus on one sport, and that's football. And so he just kind of hasn't had that ability. I think he's a little bit shell shocked, but the talent's there though. So I think up to this point, he probably is going to be not a starter. I think it'll definitely be some of the other folks as safety as being a starter, of course. But, we'll see. They'll probably rotate him in and out here and there, but, certain situations. So it'll be interesting to see. But I'm hoping he's out there, because I think this will give him an opportunity to go live and show what he can do, right? So, who knows? Let's see what happens.
And just one other part that you could throw out there too, and I know within the notes and everything we didn't talk too much about it, but interior defensive lineman is definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that too. I know you guys, a lot of people talking about Fehoko and Covington and Gaziano. Yeah, it's going to be solid. We're going to see a lot of those guys. I think we'll see a lot of those guys.
Oh yeah,
a lot of those guys.
I'm excited to see Tito seeing Obonya.
Tito. Obonya.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him and see what he could do and the work that he could do. So it's interesting because in the depth chart that they released this week, they put Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, and Jerry Tillery as starters.
I thought that was interesting too. Yeah.
I thought that was really, really interesting to see that Tillery's name is being talked about that way. So, but bottom line, what I want to see is run defense.
Yes.
Let's stop them, please. Let's just, even if we don't have our starters out there, just let's see them stop these running backs. Let's stop these stupid 5-6 yard runs all the time on first down. That is not good for a defense to do something like that. So once again, I want to see that happen. Please stop the run.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
I
want to bring back
at
the
the
chant.
minimum.
Bring back that
Please.
chant. You can't run.
Yeah. And I think one thing you'll see too, typically these preseason games, I've been noticing it's pretty much 50-50 pass and run, because they're not really, nobody cares if you win, right?
Yep.
It only boils down to game one, but they're right. They're all right. How's our running team? How's our run blocking? How's our pass blocking? Yep. And they're really, they're obviously looking at situations, third and long, third and short, whatever. But But my point is, we will get a very good understanding of where we stack with run defense just with these preseason games, because you're going to see a lot of running, a lot of first down, a lot of second down runs, and then a pass. First down, second down runs, pass. Very vanilla, very vanilla. So Fehoko, Covington, Gaziano, I think there's going to be a lot of rotations around those guys. We'll probably see a lot of rump on the edge, I would assume. I don't know. It's going to be exciting, guys. I mean, I'm really excited to see what we see on in that regard. So I'm excited.
Yep, it's going to be good. I mean, in one other part with even the defense, like the sets that they're going to put out there too, 5-1-5, if they're going to do that, I'm interested to see how that kind of pans out too. Kind of just seeing how the defensive sets look around all around. So that's something to really keep an eye on too.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see if there's going to be a lot of just one linebacker sets out there. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. So
yeah, we'll probably see some Carlo Kemp. Yeah, we'll see some Carlo Kemp out there as well. I would assume the guy that we got the old pickup. I think he'll be out there. I mean, it'll be interesting, guys. I mean, I'm curious. We got this guy Ty Shelby from Louisiana Monroe. I haven't heard a whole lot about him, but guys, this is their opportunity, right? We don't interview for jobs like they do, right? They're out there right now showing what they can do. This is their job interview, right? And they have to prove that they can, they belong in the league, and this is a big part of it. So very interesting. Any other thoughts on defense? Should we move to special teams? What are we thoughts here, bros?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, pretty good.
And well, let's wrap up with special teams, and then we'll go to some of your questions, guys.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see J.K. Scott, right?
Yeah.
Little some punting. There was some discussion that the hang time on some of his punts were 5 seconds.
That's pretty good.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
Do you realize how good that is? Because it allows your coverage to go all the way down the field and stop that return. And we talk about flipping the field. Ty Long wasn't that guy. He didn't have a whole lot of hang time. But if we can get J.K. Scott to have 5-second punts, oh my gosh, that's absolutely amazing. And obviously, we got to kick field goals as well too. So I'm really curious to see that. So I'm excited. And Fiken is putting a lot of effort into making it not just it's special teams. No, special teams is special. You need to focus on it.
Yeah.
And think about the strategy. So I think they're going to use a lot of people in rotation on special teams, gap, soundness, how people are handling, going down and covering their lanes. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to see that. So what are you guys' thoughts on special teams?
Well, truth is there's a ton of hidden yardage in special teams.
Big time.
That actually really can make a difference in the game. So
big time.
Yeah. So I think that's just it. Like the interesting thing, I was listening to Chargers Weekly. They were talking about this, where it said that you can't really practice special teams plays very well in camp because you're not running full speed down the field and trying to hit each other, but in the preseason, that's when you got it, so the preseason is actually really good practice for special teams throughout the season.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is where you kind of, like Andy was saying, this is where we find out who's going to really fit the mold and fit what they want. So, and that's one thing that's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, it's when everybody could go full speed and hit somebody. I think there's a lot of big itch in camp because you don't want to hurt your own teammates. And so now you're like, I could finally hit somebody. And what's better to be able to hit the Rams right now and kind of knock them out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So. Yeah. It's funny. They keep talking about this rivalry in LA and all the players, they don't give any rivalry conversations like, oh yeah, whatever, no big deal. Well, hey, they won a Super Bowl. What do you think? And you guys should be upset. And all these Charger players, it's like, yeah, whatever, it is what it is, man. We share a stadium with them. There's no extra pressure. And
that's right.
I think that's the right answer. You don't want to start having a conversation around rivalry and whatnot, right? And bottom line, this game is see what you can do, right? Get out there and hit some folks and make it happen.
That's right. One thing with special teams too that I'm interested to see, because I kept reading a lot of notes about kicking field goals, and there's a lot of issues of 50+ yard field goals. So I'm interested to see how Dustin Hopkins and James McCourt actually do for their field goal kicking too. So and once again, bolt up, don't kick field goals. Let's do that. If you got a 50-yard field goal, let's just throw the ball somewhere else. Let's just, hey, whatever. So, but it'll be interesting to see if they try it out during the game. We don't bolt up, don't punt, but let's bolt up, don't kick 50-yard field goals. Let's just go for it on fourth. So it'd be interesting to see if that is a strategy too. If they're just going to not try 50+ yard field goals. Now that's a tough thing because there could be a point in time and say we're in the Super Bowl, we need to kick a 55-yard field goal to win it all. Like you got to be ready for that. And
for sure.
But that's once again, we're on only preseason week 1 kind of things. It's early and this is when you can make mistakes and then correct them later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see too. We got Josh Harris. He's one of the best long snappers in the game, right? Yep. He's, and a lot of people think, wow, it's just the kicker's fault. Well, not really. I mean, sometimes it's the snapper not getting the ball to the holder very well. The holder doesn't hold the ball correctly, laces out. Y'all know the whole story, right? So it's something to think about, right? It's not just the kicker. I mean, yes, the kicker's the one actually kicking the ball off his foot, but hey, look, there's a lot that goes into it, right? The protection and everything. So anyhow, so it's something to think about. All right, so I guess we can go to questions here. So let's move that direction. I know I think ERB's question was the first one we saw.
Yeah.
And again, typically, guys, just so you know, we are on all of the media platforms. We're on the Facebooks, we're on the Twitters, the tweets, the Twitter tweets. We're on everything. So it's a little interesting because we were seeing all kinds of different chats going on our end. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about ERB. How does the offensive line rotation go? How many carries do each of the running backs, fullbacks get? Will we see an explosion from guys like DeAndre Carter, Joe Reed? I will say this, the offensive line, I know a lot of people talked about Hymas and some of these other folks. I think they're going to start moving people all over the field. I think you're going to see people on the right side. You're going to see people on the left. There's going to be a lot of rotation. How it goes, to be honest with you, that's a good question. I don't really know that there's really going to be a set plan. Well, I'm sure there is a set plan, but at least nothing that I've heard at this point. But I do think they're going to try and move people around up and down the line across the board. Obviously, Slater's not playing. Our starters are not going to play. Really, the only one that we have to figure out would probably be our right tackle. But that's one position on the entire line. So we're going to see all the backups in there quite a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, a whole new line come in, and then they play a series, and then a whole new line come in again, and then they play a series, and they start rotating people around that line. But that line individually plays a series that they're going out because they want to develop cohesivity and the way that they would manage. At least that's the way I've seen them do it in the past. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
I don't even think I don't even think we have that many offensive linemen itself, though. We got 3 centers. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guards and 5 tackles. So, I mean, we're not going to see like a whole lot of rotation like that. I mean, I think if anything, maybe like the first half we'll see certain people out there. Second half we'll see other people. That's about it, though.
Yeah, Slater's not going to play for sure. Storm Norton, Trey Pipkins got to figure it out between each other. I don't know who's going to be 1, who's going to be 2. I mean, even when we were in training camp, Trey Pipkins was playing with Zion, which once again, it'll be interesting to see if Zion is actually going to be playing in this game.
I'm curious to see if he'll even be there at all.
Yeah, I would be interested to see how that goes and if he's going to pair him with Trey Pipkins.
Yep.
So, because that's when I was watching them do individual workouts. It was Storm Norton with Brandon Hymas, and then it was Trey Pipkins with Zion Johnson. I mean, you would assume in first round pick, he's going to be a starter with Zion Johnson. So it'll be interesting to see where this all kind of comes together for them. Even Foster Sorrell as left tackle, Zach Bailey is a left tackle, right tackle. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. But yeah, Salyer is an interesting one, and we've chatted about it already. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. Well, let's see if he goes to a left guard and then he gets shifted over to the right tackle for some reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who knows? That's the thing. The beauty of preseason is see where they can fit, see how they do against the competition. And this is like real, competition at this point. People wanting to hit you and people want to make a statement. So this is like a real game for these guys to be able to show what they could do. So it's very hard to know what the rotations are going to be, but they're going to shift people around, I'm sure. Based on what we're hearing.
And because you have more value. If you only play one position, let's say you play guard. I'm only a guard, and I only play right guard. Okay, that's less value than if you could play right tackle, left tackle, and maybe right guard, right? You just don't play center, So I think they want to rotate all these people through all these different positions to see who does what well and who can be a backup and who's not a one-trick pony. So I think that's going to be interesting. How many carries running backs, fullbacks get? Well, that's a great question. I think it's going to be a running back by committee, right? I predict we're probably not going to see a lot of. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Spiller. I really don't know that we will. I think they may sit him, but who knows? But I do think they'll see some Josh Kelly. I think they'll definitely see some Roundtree. And we're going to probably see a lot of our fullbacks for sure. I think they're going to be getting a lot of carries. So I'm excited to see that. And then DeAndre Carter, Joe Reed. I think we might see more Joe Reed than DeAndre Carter. I don't know that he's going to be out there a whole lot.
Yeah.
I could see Joe Reed and some of these other backups out there quite a bit. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of our scrubs and undrafted free agents across the board. I just really think that's how it's going to be. But I could be wrong too.
Yep.
Yeah, there ain't no scrubs on our team though, man. We got depth.
I know.
We got depth.
That's my point. That's my point. I mean, a bit, but that's exactly it, right? I mean, again, going back to what Brandon Staley always said, we're going to play people that need to play. That maybe they're not figuring something out. Maybe they haven't shown enough in camp. We haven't seen them be successful or consistent. We need to see more. So, yep.
In kind of talking a little bit about like with DeAndre Carter, Joe Reed is actually listed as like a kick returner and such too, but they also listed Jasir Taylor, and I want to say when I looked at his college highlights, he actually ran back a couple for touchdowns too. So I'm gonna predict Jasir Taylor runs one to the house. He's gonna find a way later in the game. He's gonna run back to the house. So I think that's what's going to happen too. But mind you, I know we're chatting about from running backs and whatnot, but that's the thing about this depth. And what Kyle was saying is that we have so much depth through this team. And I think we have so much good layers of players throughout that are going to be able to make statements. And for some reason, I'm getting a vibe that Jasir Taylor is going to run one back to the house. So
he's looking good in camp. So is Dean Leonard. Dean Leonard's looking really good too. So
Dean Leonard, I'm excited to see him on the field. It still throws me off that he's wearing 33. And it's
it does.
Is that Derwin? Yeah. He's out there?
Is that DJ? What's happening here? Is that happening? Yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Some of our tight ends are. I think we're going to rotate quite a few of our tight ends as well too. So I know there was some discussions around that as well. I know. Trying to blank on the guy's name. He's got a really long last name. Anyhow,
Eric
so
Croma.
Yeah.
Or whatever name.
So it's Hunter Campenmoyer and Eric Cronenhoink. Crumpenhoik. Say that 100 times over. You're like, oh my God. So, anyways,
but
my point
is on a jersey, Yeah,
I know you can't even fit it. It's got like bend all the way around, like all the way to the sides.
It's like Klein saucer from back in the day.
Exactly. I love that.
Holy.
No, but it'll be interesting to see though. I really do think though we're going to see a lot of Horvath. We're going to see a lot of those guys running the ball. And how are we going to do on pass rushing and pass, opening gaps, so on and so forth, right? I think, again, a lot of backups are going to be out there for the most part, right? So I'm kind of excited. In fact, I'd probably see more, you might even see more running than throwing because Chase Daniels hasn't been great throwing the ball either, right? He's not been good. Easton Stick, to your point, James, has been way better. He's looked way better in camp. So interesting.
In the amount of touches that I think these running backs are to go, I'd anticipate a total of 25, 30 touches for these running backs in some level. So that's kind of where my anticipation is, that I think they'll just and that'll also be within fullbacks too, with Xander too. So that's kind of my anticipation of where they're going to have in the world.
It'll be interesting to see if they run a lot of I formation as well too, with a fullback and also a running back. I'm really curious to see if they do that. Some of the better years with LT. We're in LT's jersey right here, baby. With Lorenzo Neal, right? Lorenzo Neal was just opening holes for him, right? So it'd be very interesting to see if we go back to that sort of formula, a little more I formation, because, dude, Xander's a big guy, man. I like him, a little bit better than Gabe Neighbors, but, we'll see what happens. Okay, JT Woods, ERB talked about JT Woods as well, too. And then a lot of people keep talking about Fehoko, man. I really think we're going to see a pretty solid rotation out there on the defensive line, right? It's just going to be anybody and everybody. And again, I think it will be a rotation. They'll say, okay, series, you guys go out here, and they might have two different sets that they want to have, and then maybe second half they'll flip it around. Okay, Foco, we want you on the right side. Maybe even Pipkins, or not Pipkins. What am I saying? Tillery, if he does play. I think they might rotate some people. I wouldn't be surprised if they put Tillery out there as well, just because I don't know that they're convinced with him yet at this point, right? I think they feel like they can probably go without him, but it'll be interesting to see if he's even out there at all, or if they play him. All right, but you got to show me more, because again, remember what Staley said: who needs to play, who needs to prove that they deserve a spot, and that's the conversation. The whole point of this is who is going to deserve a spot, and we've talked about this. I don't know, man. I don't know that Tillery's got a spot, right? I kind of feel like he might not have a spot. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we've chatted about Tillery, and he could be that one of those trade-off guys. He could be that dude. I mean, he's got heat coming behind him because he's got Morgan Fox, Covington, Otito, Obonya. I mean, Fehoko. There's dudes that would love to take his position. And so, I mean, it's pretty solid to say with Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson. Seems like they got their spots locked. And it would be interesting to see if they do even get a couple snaps. But with Jerry, I mean, I think he has to prove it. So I think he's going to have to be out there. Now, once again, if we start, it would be interesting to see if he does go out there and just to see how the run game goes against him being on the field with, say, Morgan Fox and Covington as the other guys that took Day, Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson.
Yeah.
See how that run game works and see if teams just pin on Jerry Tillery the whole entire time. Right?
Big time. That's what they did last year. They just ran the ball his direction every time. Yeah. Like he was. It's funny. I was watching a guy break down the way he plays, and he was like, because technically in Brandon Staley's defense, you run basically gap and a half or two gaps. So you basically cover two. If you're a defensive lineman, you need to cover two gaps. Meaning, if the ball's coming this way, you got to play the guy in front of you, and then you got to cover this gap because you think the ball's going this direction, right? And the whole point is just jamming those gaps, right? And Tillery, dude, he was just moved around like a rag doll. It was so easy, and everyone knew that. They just knew push him to the side. And so that's why I like to call him speed bump, right? So, again, he's got to prove it. So that's kind of why I'm saying a potential starter may be out there. And that's a bit of a slap in the face for him as well. Hey, buddy, you want a spot, you better show us something.
Yeah.
And it's a preseason game, So guys, this is all how it's going to play out, right? I mean, and by the way, this is why this has been so much more interesting for me because, okay, who's really going to play? Because that's going to tell us a lot about who we see day one for the Chargers. So I'm excited to see that.
For sure. It's going to be interesting to see, and the thing is, though, when it gets to the point of all these cuts in the team, there's going to be a lot of hard cuts. And I mean, we've chatted a little bit. Yep. We chatted a little bit about, even to say Christian Covington, if he doesn't basically work out, I mean, he's only $1 million base salary or something like that. So that's kind of a drop in the bucket per se, but he does have experience in this defense and this is year 2 with him. So if he outplays Tillery, I mean, that's where that whole thing comes around where it's like, well, we might be able to let go Jerry and trade him off somewhere else. So, who knows? I mean, that's where we figure out who's who and who's the right guy for the right position on this team. So, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and ERB's got another question here. Forrest Miller and Fehoko, if they destroy tonight in the preseason, do we finally see Covington not make the roster? Could happen, man. Could happen. It's going to be some tough calls. I mean, bottom line, guys, look at our edge rushers, right? You're probably going to see Jamal Davis, Chris Rumpf. You're going to see a lot of the backup guys out there. You're not going to see KVN. You're not going to see, any of our major starters, any of our major players are not going to be out there. But those guys are going to have the opportunity to show what they can do, right? Because look, at the end of the day, what if we have to let a Forrest Merrill go or a Covington or a Gaziano? At least they can look back at some footage and say, okay, this is what he did in this preseason game. He did this very well. And then they can maybe get a spot somewhere else, right? So I think that's very important.
Yep.
Okay, I'm trying to think of any other questions here we should talk about. I know
William Watkins basically said, is Trey Pipkins and Storm Norton, are they still speed bumps? Yeah.
It's so true, though.
So we got a speed bump over here on the defensive side. Then we got a speed bump on the right side.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because to me, like, we always go back to that Raider game, but I mean, just Storm Norton was gassed, and I always said, like, if I was a coach, if he's looking gassed, what do? You rotate somebody in, and
that's what I would have done. I
don't know why they didn't throw Trey Pipkins in for that situation.
Yep.
I get it, the cohesiveness of the offensive line, I get it, but when a player's gassed, dude, give him a break.
Yeah.
Like, you have a guy sitting here just kind of hanging out, waiting for his chance. Give him a chance. Like,
yeah.
But either way, I think Trey Pipkins is a better position guy, in my opinion. I think he's got a different mindset here. But this is the right tackle battle here. So we'll kind of where it goes and what it does. And once again, I mean, Jamari Salyer, if he comes out and he actually does really well, maybe they start thinking, hey, maybe this guy could be a left guard and also a right tackle for us.
And he's playing nasty, like, dude. He should have gone way earlier in the draft too. By the way, guys, you know that. And he was pissed that he fell as far. What did he go to the 5th round or something like that? He went way down. Yeah, yep. And I remember he, when he got interviews, like, man, I'm a little upset, right? Like we got pushed. I got pushed way down the list. And again, it's nothing against him, but at the end of the day, right? Sometimes needs for teams aren't there; they don't align, and so you can fall down the list, right? That's just how it is. Yep. There was another thought here. Somebody was talking about. You guys keep talking about Tillery. I will say this: I still think he could get moved, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've said this a million times. Part of what makes preseason a good thing is that it gives players an opportunity to play and show what they can do. You're already starting to see injuries pile up on other teams. Guess what? Oh my God, our big stud defensive tackle's out. Who can we go get? That's when Tillery's value starts moving up the list, right? So understand that depending on how other teams preseason shake out and injuries start occurring, you go from there. In my video, I talked specifically he could go to the Browns. They looked pretty good in preseason. I was kind of surprised. Their defensive line looked pretty sharp. I was like, dang, they look like they got a purpose out there. So I was kind of impressed. But again, look at Zach Wilson. He's out. Look at Deshaun Watson. We don't even know if that guy's going to play a single game this next year for the Browns. And they're now talking about, let's go get Jimmy Garoppolo so we can actually have a quarterback for the season, right? So this is how things like that play out, right? So again, they're going to be moves, but they'll be moves a little bit later on, and we'll kind of see how that plays out. So very interesting. Well,
even to say with Jimmy G and say the Jets, you got to think Zach Wilson hasn't had one full healthy season so far being in the league, and so he's already injured. So you got Tyrod Taylor as a backup, which ironically would be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
that guy goes to every team and always gets his job taken away that he's going to be the starter.
Yeah, he's
and then
forever
somebody else takes it away.
Forever a bridge quarterback,
and that bridge gets broken all of a sudden when he's there too. And but it would be interesting for the Jets and this is once again off topic, but what if the Jets did go after Jimmy G? That's where they could go after the Niners could, let's say they could get a 3rd round pick for him or something like that. That's where his value increases at that point. And once again, with now knowing who's going to be the quarterback there at the Niners, they don't need Jimmy G, but that's why they hold players like that.
Yeah.
Somebody goes down, somebody's going to be able to say, hey, cool, I need to get Jimmy G. You want a 3rd round pick? Yeah, done. Here you go. See ya.
Done deal.
Kind of thing. And that's what Niners are waiting on. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you hear some notes about the Jets kind of thinking about Jimmy G. I wouldn't be surprised even if also the Browns also look at Jimmy G too. So
I could see that. Well, and I'll tell you what, Tyrod Taylor looked pretty good, way over Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones seems like a train wreck to me. I was watching. There was a big fight at the Giants camp too, as well, guys. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Actually,
there was a huge fight.
Fights, yeah. It was like 3
it was
fights.
crazy, and I'm like, what the hell is going on over there?
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones, the train wreck, can't even throw the ball. Tyrod Taylor looked pretty good out there. I was kind of blown away. I'm like, and I was reading a couple of articles this morning that was saying, hey, maybe they should start Tyrod Taylor over Jones. I think that's a great idea. Jones is like a turd, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's horrible.
Yeah.
And anyways, no, that'd be great. Hey, good to see you, Aether. I'm glad you're here. So shoot a question out. We're about to wrap up. So but definitely shoot us a question. And ERB. if we don't trade Tillery, we'll actually re-sign him next year. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it, even if we keep, yeah. Look, I think Brandon Staley has a very specific set of defensive skills he wants to see with his players. Tillery does not fit the bill. And the reason why, and again, it's not a knock against Tillery, really. Well, it is a knock against Tillery. He wants the defensive lineman to do what first? Stuff the run. Yep. You cannot stuff the run. You do not have a spot in this defense on the defensive line. You got to move somewhere else. And I think that's where Tillery is a little bit of a disadvantage. If you recall, when he was with Gus Bradley, they were running him as a defensive lineman and an edge rusher occasionally. So he was a little bit in the middle. So unfortunately for him specifically, he's kind of become that guy that's like, well, how do I fit into this now? And do you really have a spot for me? That's a hard place to be in, especially when it's your career and your livelihood and kind of who you are. So anyways, that's just my take on it.
Well, and the thing is, though, Tillery has such a different build as a body in comparison to what our line looks now. Like, we got a butt and gut line now.
Butt and gut line, man. Yep.
Yeah, they could fill those gaps and make it tougher and make her like smaller windows of running opportunity. And even Austin Eckler talked about it in camp. He said, hey, man, like, it's just harder to run against this line now. I mean, there's just a lot of dudes filling gaps now. And so when you got tall, slender guys, like, they could get pushed around a little bit easier and they're going to open up wider spaces. When you got thick-bodied dudes that can't really be moved but could fill gaps really well, it makes it harder for everybody. So I'm liking what's happening right now, and I'm looking forward to be able to see kind of what this butt and gut line looks like, to be honest, for this game.
Butt and gut. Yeah. ERBA.
Blockbuster boys.
Blockbuster boys. Yeah, he's a tweener. Good point, ERB. And I think that was Gus Bradley's fault. Gus Bradley kept trying to move him around, and I understand why he did that, but it did not do him it didn't help him in his career, unfortunately. So it's sad. It's kind of a sad story. By the way, Carlos, yes, I think Kevin Marks will be playing quite a bit. Yeah. I think we're going to see Kevin Marks. We're going to see, I'm drawing a blank on the other running back. The other running back that
Isaiah Spiller
there we go. Josh Kelly. Oh, Letty Brown.
Yeah.
So we'll see him as well too. So we're going to see a lot of those guys out there, getting some shots, right? So that'll be pretty good.
It'll probably be like mid-third, fourth down. Probably you'll start seeing those guys in there.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if we also see like, Brandon Peters come in kind of later in the fourth quarter too. Yep. Just kind of give him a couple snaps on the field and such too. So it's going to be, obviously it's a very rotational game. There's going to be a lot of people flowing in and out, and they probably got a set plan of these guys are going to play at this time. And it's probably based upon their depth chart positions. So.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, what happened, Brandon Staley was very clear. He wants to do basically what he did last year, right? And so I remember there was a question after one of the practices, like, what's a rotation going to look like? He's like, we're going to decide that, but we'll most likely rotate a lot of players game 1 and then game 2, and then they started having to trim the rosters down.
Yep.
When they start trimming the rosters down, so the last preseason game typically are players that most likely will not be playing game week 1. So that's basically just an off week for anybody that's going to suit up for the game 1, right? Just to make sure that they're healthy and everything's going to be fine. But give other people the opportunity, undrafted free agents, the ability to play and get out there and kind of show what they can do before they get cut, or moved on, right? So that'll be very interesting. Oh, hey, Richie Rich. Hey. Awesome. Good to see you.
So we got a question in there about why is everybody picking us to finish 11-6? I don't see us win the division with 11-6. And second part, we start 7-1 and finish 9-5. Is that a disaster? Tell me your answer, please.
Oh man,
it is interesting because I've seen some people saying that 12-5 is going to win the division for the AFC West.
Yeah,
and 11-6, I'll take that record because that still means playoffs for us. Do we want to win the division? Absolutely, we'd love to win the division, but more importantly, just get to the freaking playoffs. Like, get to the playoffs. Last year was criminal for us not to be in the playoffs, to not have Herbert and Burrow potentially playing against each other in the playoffs. That would have been incredible. Yeah, actually, even to say Jalen Hurts was even in the playoffs last season too. So it'd have been cool to be able to see 3 quarterbacks from that same draft.
Yeah.
In the playoffs. So, 9-5 is not a pretty way to end it, but guess what? It's still kind of one of those things that It's still a winning record. I'll take it.
Yep.
I'll take it.
Yeah, but the one thing I would rather start slow and finish strong, right?
Yeah.
Because again, look at what we did last year. We ended up 1-3 and we missed the playoffs. And guys, remember, we were in the catbird seat. Weren't we up at 1.2 games to the Chiefs, and then we just wet the bed at the end, right?
Yeah,
and like it was just ridiculous. So like it was our division to lose, and we lost it on ourselves. We beat ourselves up. We had the COVID game against the Texans, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I mean, it is one of those situations where you sit back and say, well, okay, lick your wounds. But again, what was the whole point? We did not have depth. We did not have depth. And I think, again, we've already said this probably so many times, and I hate to sound like a broken record. I really believe Brandon Staley wants to make sure if we're going to put you on the roster, you're not a one-trick pony. He does not want one-trick ponies. He wants people that can play multiple positions. Because what if we start getting major attrition in our defensive backs? Okay, let's bring a safety down or something, right? If you can't do a number of different things, you're probably not going to make the roster. That's a big part of what I'm thinking.
Yep, absolutely.
And I was just going to say, 11-6 could win the division just because it's the toughest division in football, right? And there's going to be a lot of off games, and we're going to have to really kick ass to get 12 wins this year. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, Chiefs didn't get that much better. In fact, if anything, they may have gotten worse, right? So, look, you never know what Josh McDaniels is going to look like for the Raiders, right? I think he's going to try and simplify things for, our boy Guyliner over there in the Raiders, aka Guyliner.
That's right. That's right.
And let's see, Richie, I do think that Kevin Marks looks like a pretty good undrafted free agent that could make the team. A lot of people talk about him. He went to Buffalo. He's a good running back. But, again, it's a pretty big running back room, though. So he's got to make his mark on special teams if he's going to find a spot here. So I don't know. He's one I could think of.
And it's a really hard thing to be able to look at this team and think, hey, what undrafted guy is going to make impact? And
yeah, it's going to be tough.
This is not an easy team to be able to try to make whatever position you're playing, because there's a lot of depth already. Now, once again, I don't want to talk about it, but we already saw it. Some people are getting injured, and so that pushes people up a little bit in that position. So,
correct.
I don't know where we could really see a lot of undrafted guys. Kevin Marks is the only guy that I can think of. Now, once again, I think his statement has to be on special teams.
Big time.
Obviously run well, but special teams has to be that. Now, once again, we have a lot of people in that position with Kelly, with Roundtree, with Eckler, and Spiller. I mean, that's a tough hill to climb right there to be able to even make the team. So, I mean, one guy who was not drafted but was signed was Jamal Davis, outside linebacker.
Right.
Big time. Yep.
One of the guys that I'm really interested to see how he pans out. So, because, I mean, once again, the linebacker position is probably our most open competition to an extent.
Yep.
Position where somebody can make a statement. So inside linebacker is one to look at, too. I mean, I'm pretty high on Nick Neiman. I think he's doing well. Hearing great things about Troy Reeder. Austin Eckler chatted about him recently, that he made an excellent play on him. But that's like 4 guys already right there for an inside linebacker position with Van Noy and Tranquil. Yeah. So Damian Lloyd might be one of those guys that could find his way onto this squad. So it's just, man, there's a lot of guys that are drafted that are on this team that are going to make statements, and guys that were undrafted last year, like Tavon Campbell or Keenan Hall or whatnot, as a cornerback, that kind of needs to make a statement that could push up a guy like, I mean, if he doesn't do well, just Sir Taylor could take their positions easily, and he was a drafted guy. So it's a very, very difficult team to be able to find these undrafted guys make the squad. Now, once again, if they don't make this squad, there's going to be a lot of tough cuts for the 53 in the practice squad. They can make statements for other teams out there that says, hey, Tavon Campbell, he's a guy that's played well. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if he found a way, if he got cut, to go to the Colts. So it's one of those things that there's not a lot of room for a lot of these undrafted guys, but once again, one guy gets injured, another one gets the opportunity. So,
you know what? So what I love? I love that we're all wearing the baby blues today. Is that the jersey color we're going to be wearing on game day?
Well,
I can't remember.
I was trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out what the jersey schedule is. You know.
Yeah,
like,
if they announced that, guys, let us know if they've announced it as well too. By the way, yeah. So ERB Nick Neiman is definitely actually he's looking pretty good in camp as well too. He's getting a lot of plays too. He's getting a lot of plays because he's got a lot of injuries at linebacker, but he's looking pretty good right now. So.
What's kind of funny is our jerseys that we're wearing are like 3 generations of jerseys, by the way.
That's true.
That's true.
This one's old as hell. This one, I think it's like a first or second jerseys I've ever owned. But yeah, this is my LT, old school LT.
Old school.
Herbie, man. I got the Herbie.
You got that Herbie? You got that Herbie?
Yeah, that's right.
We're being told that it's all white jersey in the opener.
Oh, it's
all white jersey. Okay.
That's like
that makes sense.
That's always the case. I don't know why, but like they always do all white, like a whiteout thing for the home opener.
Got it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Plus
it's also at SoFi. So
exactly. So it's kind of a home game, but not a home game, but it is a home game. Kind of is it a home game for us? But it's Rams.
It's a home game.
No, it's a home game for us, but it's a home game for them essentially too. But whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they also asked about running back, which you'd see 10 carries over tonight. I think, honestly, it's going to be – I'm going to say Kelly. I'm going to say Kelly's going to get over 10. I think he's going to get a good look. Because the thing about it is with Kelly is if he actually really pans out, and we have Spiller, and he pans out too, we have 3 very good running backs. Now, that's great. A good nucleus of a running back team. Now, that really could put these guys like Kevin Marks out. It could put Roundtree out. Now, once again, you got to make statements on special teams. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. But my bet is going to be Kelly getting up to 10 carries this game, just because you're hearing the good things from camp.
Yeah, and he gained weight, right? And he took the offseason seriously, right? And that's a big thing. You know, I think a big time. It shows a lot, right? And I think that's one thing about Brandon Staley that I will say, you know, he definitely leads by example. And he said, great. Well, you know, you had a good season. We want to see you improve. We want to see you do this and that. And it's awesome seeing other players that didn't really do that great. Like Tavon Campbell's a good example. He had a bad year last year. I think he was kind of thrown in the mix. He was confused. I don't think he really figured everything out completely, but he came back better. And so he's definitely looked better this camp than he did even at all last season. So my point is everybody's elevating their game at this team, right? And on this team. And so they're making the competition even better. I mean, the running back room's a great example of that.
Yep.
Okay,
so we got a question about the record, by the way, too. So Aether kind of sent back kind of a rebuttal question to it. He said, if we don't win 13 games with this talent and depth, 12 is easy. What do you think, James? And so the thing is, though, and I understand your disappointment just to think like, hey, I legitimately think this team could be a 14-3 team. I legitimately think that. Now, once again, there's a lot of cough games every now and then.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
That make things happen to where we don't get to 14-3. And my hopes is that doesn't happen. But my high level thoughts is 14-3. My hopes, absolutely, I hope to get to that point. Now, if we get to 11-6, I'm good with that. Like, I'll take that all day. Now, Vegas always says, and tends to be right most of the time, we're at 10.5 right now, over and under for wins. So if we get to 11, that's cool. That's about on par with what Vegas potentially could be getting at. 10 to 11 wins, I think, is kind of where we're at. Now, I think that still makes playoffs for us. So, and that's the goal for every team. Get to the playoffs, get a chance to go further in the season. So
that's it. Unless
14-3 would be killer. Yeah, it would be killer for sure.
That's really just the bottom line too. Is like, cause it doesn't matter what happened during the year, but as long as you get into the playoffs, then you got a shot. You know, I mean, just look at the Giants.
100%.
Look at the Giants back in the day. Like, you know, they basically crawled into the playoffs and ended up beating the Patriots in their undefeated season. So, which by the way, I'm actually really mad that the Patriots lost that game though, because Junior Seau was on that team, the undefeated.
Yes, he
Patriots
was.
Team.
He was.
And so I'm like, dang it, I really wanted him to.
Yeah, I wanted to see him get that ring.
Yeah.
Hey, I love that. Speed bumps are people too. Nice job, Williams. That's great. That cracks it.
I love it.
Oh man, I feel like a speed bump sometimes when I play pickleball and softball. Trust me, it's bad. Third base can't play that hot corner anymore. I'm getting old, bro. All right, so we'll kind of reiterate where we talked about that Aether. Yeah, the right tackle. You're going to see three different people in right tackle. You're going to see Jamari Sawyer, obviously Pipkins, and then obviously Storm Norton. I think you're going to see all three of them, and they're going to definitely rotate a lot of people in. I think you'll see different lines come in for different series. Okay, here's the line. Boom. Here's the line. Boom. And I think they're going to have a number of different rotations, and they're going to move people around interoperably. I think Jamari will get moved up and down the line quite a bit because he's pretty versatile. So I'm really excited to see that. So, and by the way, guys, one thing we're going to do as well, again, we already talked about this at the beginning. James and Kyle is going to be at the game. So Kyle will most likely not hop on with us, but we're going to go live at halftime, James and I, and we're just going to discuss what we see in the game, how it's going, how it's progressing, give you our thoughts on the first half and what you'd like to see the second half. So it'll be about a 15-minute, little short broadcast. And then we're going to do a recap of the game after the end of the game as well, too. So you'll see 2 live episodes from us halftime and then also wrapping up the game.
Hopefully technology works with us too, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
I know we were
Restream was a pain in the ass today. Oh my God.
Oh,
it was getting stressful.
Bad.
Yeah, because that's the truth. If it doesn't work, then you guys are going to be hosed because
no chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
Hopefully they fix that, guys. So again, that's the plan. And love to have you guys on there as well. So just be looking at us at halftime. James and I will be here. We'll have some notes on some things we're seeing, but we could throw out some questions if you guys have as well too. But
cool.
But I guess that's it, guys. So I'm so glad to have you guys here. Thank you so much. And always bolt up, don't punt. We got to get that merch. When's that merch showing up? Kyle, what's the deal here, dude? Come on now.
Dude,
we got to get that merch, son. Come on now.
I was on crunch time with to finish a film. And so I actually was just editing every single night to get that thing done for the company and stuff. So I was just I had to just get some stuff taken care of. But yeah, I'm gonna jump into that. I'll probably start focusing on that tomorrow and get that put together.
Well, that bolt up don't punch shirt, I think we got to get that ASAP. I think that's the one I definitely want to rock and walk around and show people what's up.
Yeah.
Old bros here.
Don't kick 50-yard field goals too. How about that one?
Hold up, don't kick 50-yard field goals.
Yeah.
No, we just go for it.
It's kind of long.
Yeah.
It'd be funny to have a little kicker at the bottom with a field goal going to the post, dude. That'd be hilarious. Like a funny little graphic. Oh, all right, guys. We're just rambling on. But anyways, guys, check.
Aether had he stuck in one last question for us though. So do you see Herbert break the touchdown records with 55? And I don't know.
I'd love to see it.
I would love to see it. I would love to see that, but I don't think it's gonna happen this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. We are going to be. I will say this. I don't think we're going to throw the ball as much as we did last year. Last year we had Austin Eckler. And if you notice, Austin Eckler did not do great on the run. I think we were 25th in the league or something like that in rushing.
Sure.
He's a hybrid running back.
Yeah.
He's catching the ball in the backfield, right? So he's kind of a little bit of both. I think we're going to start going to more of a run game as well too. And so I think it's going to be a little more mixed. So I think if anything, I would say his numbers go down, which could be interesting to see. But what I want to see is a high amount of touchdowns and less interceptions. He had quite a few interceptions last year, but a lot of those were tip balls that, wide receivers, they didn't catch and then it got up in the air or whatever. Yeah. So I think he had 18 interceptions last year or something like that. Yeah.
And the thing is, Jared Cook, I remember a couple interceptions that he was just all over the place and not in the right position too. I feel like he had probably three interceptions based upon his route running and not awareness too. So, you would just hope that the players would be a little bit better this year and to be able to be better route runners and to be able to be more aware. And so we'll see how it kind of pans out. But heck, man, if we could get 55 touchdowns plus with Herbert, holy MVP, crazy. Holy smokes, that would be incredible.
And guys, I am putting that money down. I'm just trying to find a place that I'm gonna throw those bets down. So you will see pictures of those bets that I'm gonna be making this year. Big time. Justin Herbert MVP, Brandon Staley Coach of the Year, AFC West champs, AFC, Yeah, I mean, trust me. Hey, I got the whole spread figured out. I just got to figure out where I'm gonna place this bet. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about it. So anyways, guys, as always, like I said, halftime show, James and me, and then we'll do a recap at the end of the game. And that'll be our recap. We're going to talk about it. And again, we're going to do another one of these probably early in the week, next week, for our preseason game as well, too. Of course, actually, James, when do you go to Greece? You're going to be gone, right?
It's going to be next Sunday. So not this Sunday, but next Sunday. I'll be gone till September 2nd, I believe. Okay. I'll be back, or at least flying back. So essentially September 3rd, I'll be back. So,
got it. Okay.
So I'll be out for a couple of weeks. I won't be able to watch the third preseason game because it'll be 3 a.m. when that goes on. So I don't think I'm going to be up during that time.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I'll be here for the next 2 games, and then we'll be around. So,
all righty, sounds like a plan.
Ooh.
Excellent. Okay, guys. As always, bolts up, down point. We're the Bolt Bros.
Football's back. Let's go.
Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
Let's get out of here. Let's go.